The rain had only just stopped when Michael Hayes lifted his eyes from the stack of invoices on his desk and saw them, one woman and one little girl, stepping hesitantly through the glass doors of Willow Creek Diner. Something about the way the mother held her daughter's hand, protective yet tired, hit him like a memory he couldn't quite place. And in that instant, before he even knew their names or why they looked so familiar, he felt an unexplainable pull, as if fate had paused the world and whispered, "Pay attention. This moment matters." The diner smelled faintly of fried food, coffee, and the lingering scent of rain on wet pavement. Outside, neon lights flickered above the entrance, reflecting in puddles near the door. The mother paused, looking unsure, adjusting the strap of her worn bag across her shoulder. The little girl tugged gently at her hand, eyes wide, fascinated by the warm glow inside. If you believe in kindness, hope, and the power of second chances, make sure to like, comment, share, and subscribe. Your support helps stories like this reach more hearts. Michael had come to the diner only because he couldn't bear sitting in his office any longer. For years, he had quietly funded a small anonymous outreach program, sending monthly support to struggling single-parent families through a church group in another town. He never asked for names. He never wanted recognition. In return, he received only brief status reports, just enough to know the help was reaching those who needed it most. Among those families, one stood out to the volunteers, a young mother and her daughter who had endured hardship that would have broken most people. He didn't know their names. He didn't know their faces. He just kept helping, month after month, hoping his contributions made a difference. Now, watching this mother and daughter step into the diner, something shifted inside him. The mother's hand was firm but gentle on her daughter's shoulder, her body carrying the invisible weight of sleepless nights, unpaid bills, and the constant worry of doing enough. The little girl's eyes shone with unspoken excitement, swinging her legs under the booth's edge, oblivious to the worries her mother carried. Michael could see the subtle similarities between the struggles described in the reports and the tension in this mother's posture. The mother guided her daughter to a corner booth, brushing damp hair from her face and smoothing her coat. The little girl Lily giggled softly, pointing at the crayons and coloring sheets already stacked neatly on the table. The mother, Emily, smiled faintly, her eyes betraying the exhaustion behind her warm gesture. Michael watched, almost holding his breath. Something about this quiet, ordinary scene was strikingly familiar. The waitress approached with menus. Emily requested a children's menu first, her voice calm, careful, almost apologetic, as if her mere presence might inconvenience the diner. She ordered water for herself, a small meal for her daughter, and mentioned that this was a special treat. Lily's face lit up immediately, her tiny hands clapping together. Michael felt a pang of recognition. He had seen the resilience described in the reports in that girl's demeanor. That bright spark in her eyes despite life's hardships. Emily opened her small, worn wallet, pulling out bills carefully folded and counted. Michael noticed her hesitation. Her fingers trembled slightly as she checked if she had enough. He understood that subtle fear. The weight of knowing every penny mattered, and sometimes there just wasn't enough. Without thinking, Michael moved toward the counter and quietly paid for their meal, including a small takeout portion for later. He didn't want recognition. He didn't want thanks. He only wanted them to feel a little relief, to breathe a little easier. When the server whispered that their meal had been covered by someone wishing them well, Emily froze. She glanced around, confused, searching for the stranger who had quietly provided for them. She looked at her daughter, who was humming softly while coloring, and took a deep, shaky breath. Michael sat back, heart pounding, and watched as Emily approached his table. Her hands rested lightly on Lily's shoulders, her eyes glistening with gratitude, her lips forming words she barely knew how to say. Lily clutched a small crayon drawing of a house with a bright sun, a simple symbol of hope and security that meant everything to a child who had known uncertainty. Too often, Michael's chest tightened. The mother's presence, the little girl's innocence, the silent gratitude radiating between them, it all felt like destiny revealing itself. Emily spoke softly, telling him how hard life had been, how she struggled to provide for her daughter, how she had prayed every night for the anonymous help that had kept them afloat for years. Michael realized with a jolt that this was the family described in those reports, the ones he had helped month after month, never knowing their faces or names. He wanted to tell her immediately that he had been their anonymous donor, that he had been quietly walking alongside them through their darkest days. But he stayed silent. This moment wasn't about him. It was about the strength of a mother who refused to give up, and the bright resilience of a little girl who deserved all the hope in the world. They lingered at the table a little longer, and Michael noticed small details he had never seen in the reports. The way Emily smoothed a stray braid from Lily's face, the way Lily's fingers fidgeted with her crayon, the way Emily's eyes darted anxiously to make sure her daughter felt safe and seen. He realized that generosity wasn't always about the grand gestures. It was about the quiet endurance, the invisible sacrifices, the love and courage displayed in small, everyday moments. Over the following weeks, Michael visited the diner more frequently, never intruding, simply observing as Emily and Lily's lives slowly brightened. Their laughter became more frequent, their smiles more assured. Emily's posture straightened subtly, her tired expression softening as she allowed herself tiny moments of joy. Lily's giggles filled the air, her crayons leaving colorful marks on new drawing sheets, her shoes now fitting comfortably on her small feet. One evening, as autumn leaves swirled outside the diner's windows, Michael saw Emily and Lily standing by the door, preparing to leave. Emily's coat was buttoned neatly, her bag on her shoulder. Lily waved enthusiastically at him, her braids bouncing, a grin lighting up her face. Michael returned the wave, feeling a swell of emotion, a quiet confirmation that his help had made a difference. It was in these fleeting interactions, small gestures, and shared moments of human connection that Michael found the real meaning of generosity. It wasn't about recognition, it wasn't about reward, it was about the invisible threads that tie people together, threads of hope, of kindness, of love that ripple outward in ways one can never predict. In time, Michael realized that helping others had also healed parts of himself he hadn't acknowledged for years. The loneliness, the longing to make a tangible difference, the desire to see the world reflect even a fraction of the goodness that he believed in. Emily and Lily had become a mirror, showing him that his quiet contributions had consequences far beyond what he could imagine. Life was far from perfect for Emily and Lily, but it was undeniably brighter. Each visit to the diner revealed subtle improvements: a new coat for Emily, better school supplies for Lily, laughter spilling from the booth. Even amidst ordinary meals, Michael's quiet observation became a ritual of hope, reinforcing his faith in human resilience and the power of unseen kindness. Sometimes, as he sat sipping coffee in his corner, he caught himself smiling, thinking of how simple acts, a check mailed in secret, a warm dinner provided unexpectedly, could ripple through lives like gentle waves. He began to write notes for himself, reflections on gratitude and humility, learning that generosity and grace were inseparable in the human experience. And then came the night that crystallized everything. Emily approached his table again, this time with quiet courage. She thanked him not just for the dinner, but for being a silent, invisible lifeline for her family. Michael simply nodded, realizing that the truth, him being their benefactor, was almost irrelevant. The connection, the acknowledgement of their shared humanity, was what